Actually, I always wanted to be a nurse. Wanted to be a nurse and I wanted to be a singer.
I went to the University of New Hampshire to get my nursing degree and realized that I needed to get out of the cold.
No one major big thing maybe want to be a nurse. You know, some people are like, oh, you know, I had some serious illness. That's not my case.
I started as an emergency room nurse at Santa Monica, UCLA. Then I became a postpartum nurse on the maternity ward, and I am now a labor and delivery nurse.
My mom at the time was sick with cancer. She was dying of cancer, and I remember sitting at her table and I said, I just want to be a nurse. And she was like, well then go fill out an application. I took care of dying children with cancer and other different terminal diseases. I had taken care of this little boy named Mario when he was 4 years old. He was the same age as my youngest daughter at the time. And I took care of him, and you know, they're there for months and months. You get to know their families really well. I went home one night, I came back to work the next day, and I was like, well, I'm going to take care of Mario today. And they were like, oh, didn't you hear? And I was like, no, hear what? And they were like, well, he died last night. I thought they were going to live, like they were getting their bone marrow transplant, and then they were going to live, and that was probably one of the saddest days of my life.
And this one night I was coming off my shift and we got a call saying we have a 21-year-old who was just in a motorcycle accident. At the time my brother was 21 years old, and so my heart just dropped. Called my family, made sure he was okay. Boy comes in, he's essentially already passed. We worked on him for 40 minutes. He did not survive. I took out his driver's license, and it said that he was from Malibu, California, and his last name was Naylor. Well, I know guy Kevin Naylor. The next thing I know, I look over and 3 of my friends walk in, one being Kevin. I had to sit there with the doctor and tell them that his younger brother just died, and as I'm sitting there, his parents walk in, and the look on that mother's face, I will never, ever, ever forget. I had to sit with the mom for over an hour with the body as she was begging me to wake her son up. And I only had one son at the time, and he was little. Oh, and my oldest was only about a 1.5 years old. But, you know, just words can't even describe.
I grew up in a family that my mother's a teacher and my father is an engineer. I wanted a career where I could ultimately help people. I saw how much joy my mother got out of helping children, but I also wanted the availability to have a job security like my father always had.
He was my first kiss. His name was Jesse Billauer, and he got hurt in a surfing accident and broke his C5, C6 vertebrae. So he was essentially paralyzed from the chest down. I went and I visited him in the hospital, and from that moment on, I went every day. Just the whole experience of being in the hospital and, you know, catheterizing him and doing the medical stuff really made me fall in love with the field of medicine.
I was born in Connecticut, raised in Bethany, which is a really small farm town in the middle of nowhere. Fortunately and unfortunately, I had an accident in high school. I was a softball player. We were getting ready for the state finals, and I, during practice, got hit in the jaw. So my jaw was wired shut for 5 weeks. I was in the ER and had the most amazing team of nurses taking care of me. Everything they needed to do for, you know, an 18-year-old whose face was just destroyed right before prom. So, anywho, that's that.
It is difficult to balance home life, personal life, and work life, or it was for a long time. I finally got to a point in my life a few years ago where I decided it was time for me to maybe do something fun for me. I needed to do something that I loved. What do I love to do? I love to sing. Am I a great singer? No, not a great singer. But do I love it? Yeah. There's a place in Santa Monica here it was called the Temple Bar, and they let me come there and sing.
I am dating a pilot, which is so much fun. I travel all the time. Usually I'll work my 3 days in a row, get that all done with, and most of the time walk right out of work, change, and onto the airplane, and we're off. If I had to quit nursing today and someone said, all right, what's your next step? I would be a flight attendant in a heartbeat.
Or I do have a 4.5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 14-month-old. All little crazy boys. I work the night shift so that I don't have to miss them 12.5 hours a day.
I do a relatively good job of balancing my work and my personal life. My boyfriend does not like it at all. The fact that I work 3 nights a week and not necessarily getting to do fun things with him. He works in the entertainment industry.
It's all entertaining. It's all laughable, and that's the nice thing about my unit. It's a very happy place. It's energetic. You know, it's very rewarding, and it's easy to be there. We're always laughing about dads, you know, everyone having their own opinion, family members, provide a lot of entertainment for us.
I think the husbands can be the funniest because they have no idea what to do. They have like no clue that this is their time where they need to step back, and they have no control. So many of them are so great, and they're like, I don't know anything. Some of them are so controlling they actually want to be the breast the baby is going to nurse.
I have a little dachshund. He's a miniature black and tan smooth hair male. His name is Rouser, short for Rabble Rouser Rutledge. He is the light of my life. Perfect little dog. My whole entire life I've been obsessed with dachshunds. I'm not a dog person, a dachshund person. As long as I've wanted a little dachshund, I now have him, and he's exactly what I wanted.
If I wasn't a nurse, I probably, in my fantasy world, would be a backup dancer, probably.
Anywho, that's that. So that's how I became a nurse, and it was the best decision of my life.